All right, we are live with another episode of the Occult Chat Room. This is episode 6, and it will be a continuation of our previous show on the topic of the process of individuation. Um, so I know last show we were speaking a lot about the ego and we spoke about the shadow. And I don't know if there is anything else you guys want to flesh out with that before we continue on with the process.
Nah, I mean, I don't know if anybody else, but I want to get into the next level of the shadow and how it's connected to the anima and the animus, and the why the dark goddesses are the perfect energies to use for shadow work. I'm gonna show all that shit,
Okay. Okay.
but I'm
So
gonna
do
do a
you
lot
want
of
to start
I'm gonna
with
do a lot
that? You
of
can.
read. I'm gonna do a lot of reading too because I want to read so people can understand really where I'm coming from. Because you know me, like I just elaborate this shit the best way that I can. I'm not really like a teacher. I don't really know how to whatever, but I want to read some shit, and I want to thank my cousin where this nigga went. Because
No, it
last
looks like
week,
he dropped out.
yeah, that's that goddamn down south Wi-Fi, wherever the fuck he at. Um, he had mentioned Man and His Symbols,
Right.
and I almost forgot about this book because this is actually probably the first book I got from Carl Jung, or definitely one of the first books, but it was a while ago. And then I think I might have skimmed through it. I don't think I went into it through detail. If I did, I don't remember. But when he mentioned it last week, he made me look inside of it, and and he was right. They got some shit in here. And actually, I'm gonna read from this book. I'm gonna read from this book right here, Man and His Symbols. Yo, Rashida, get this book.
I
Howlett,
have that
get it.
book.
Oh, you got it?
Yeah, I have that book.
Yeah, this shit right here. Because I was about to say, just based on the way he break down the symbolism and the dreams, this shit could be probably helpful for your shit. Because as I'm
And
reading stuff, because you know he give examples of the dreams from from people, and I'm reading
Right.
some of this shit, and a lot of that shit I was thinking about you, just how the shit that you be saying in your dreams. I'm like, damn, this shit is it's kind of what I'm saying, kind of took me there.
Right. 'Cause, yeah,
and
my
this
Breaking up
that
the
other
synchronicity is
one,
symbolism.
not fast
the
enough.
undiscovered self.
What is that, a
Okay,
book?
Okay.
That's that
That's
other one, the undiscovered self.
what is that, a
Okay.
book? That's on your. What is that?
that's Carl
That's
Jung.
another Jung book, the undiscovered self,
Is that small?
where he goes into more about that individual.
That's a small book.
See, like
Small book.
I say what?
That book looks small.
Oh yeah, it's a small book. It's a quick read with a lot of information in there. He go like I said, like Cuzzo said last week. You don't find but just like one book dedicated to that process. It's like spread it out through all his books for the most
Okay.
part.
Yeah, yeah. He don't got just one book on that. He speaks about it in all of his different books.
All right. So,
All right.
yeah, last week we touched on the ego, we touched on the shadow, and I also do want to reiterate just the overall point of going through the individuation process and why it is important to begin with.
Right, right.
Um, so again, this is about transformation, but even better into your most authentic self, you know, and that is harder than most people realize. Again, because you're raised a certain way, you have this whatever your foundational upbringing is, and your personas, your ego, your shadow is built through that, and then or I should say your persona, your shadow is built through that, and your ego perpetuates it, or it helps
Mhm.
to facilitate keeping that thing going,
Right.
without realizing that who you really are you have actually suppressed, right?
Mm-hmm.
And so this become it is a hard but easy process and transition. Hard because this is the part of you that you truly want to be, right? This is where your fulfillment is, your happiness, but it's the part that you want to hold dear to you, you fear to show it because it's already been ridiculed how many times over and over again, so it could be hard in those moments, but it is easy because especially as you get older, especially when you're an adult, because that's, by the time you're an adult, like who you are is really up to you, you know. So if you
Right.
accept that, if you can accept yourself, you can it could be easier for you. But I like where we were going with breaking down what the ego is, what the shadow is, because these terms do get thrown around loosely and interchangeably for other like religious concepts and shit like that. So I do want to get down into that shadow. I heard you speaking about the animus or anima.
Hmm.
Um,
Right.
so if nobody, does anybody else want to like dive in and add on to
Yeah, like
anything I
Jesse
said,
want to
or
say something, or how do y'all want to say something? Because I'm gonna start reading after this. So if
Yeah,
anybody want to say something, or just what I'm saying.
yeah. Go ahead and say. What's that noise there? Is that a car that's winding? What is that? Am I the only one hearing that?
what?
Yo, Jesse, that's you.
Hearing
What?
what?
It sounds like wind or
What's
a
that?
car going
Oh,
past.
cars, that background.
Oh, it's too loud. I'll put the Bluetooth. I'll connect the Bluetooth then.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Do that.
You could also just mute your mic when you're not speaking. You could just mute your mic,
Okay. Yeah.
or I can mute it for you. You know. Like that.
Just close the window.
No,
I
he's
found it.
outside.
I found it.
No, he's inside. He
Yeah, I
ain't
can.
outside.
I'm outside.
No,
You
he's
No,
outside?
outside.
I'm inside. I'm
Yeah.
just on the porch.
Oh, okay. My bad.
Yeah.
Oh, you're on the outside porch. Okay, okay.
That noise. What's that right there? That's not me, is it?
Yeah, I'm gonna
All
keep
right,
it a
y'all.
thousand, cause you might want to put your Bluetooth on or something, because that background noise. That's, you know me. I hate distractions. That's going to be a distraction.
It's like wind
Yeah, I'm
blowing.
putting it on.
Yeah, I'm not going to be able to do nothing with that.
So,
All right, that's
okay, he's
better.
muted.
No, you have to mute him. You want to say something.
No, he can
I think
unmute it when he's ready to say something.
I think his
I get.
screen is frozen anyway right now. I think. Yo, cuz, can you hear? Yeah, he's gonna have reception problems out there, y'all. I think.
He got to. He got
I'm
the
just go-
Bluetooth.
yeah, but I think it's the area, the Wi-Fi down south where he at. That area, real country shit. He probably having issues. But all right, I'm just gonna go with it, y'all. Okay, that's cool. Just go for it.
Yeah,
Yeah, go ahead. Go ahead.
All right, bet. Okay, this is from Man and His Symbols. As I said, I highly recommend everybody to get this book. Um, of course, I'm getting used to Rashi, how I'm getting used to, because remember, it was always just us on the phone kicking and shit like that. So I'm getting used to when I'm speaking, realizing that I'm speaking to other people as well. You know what I'm saying? All right, it says the realization of the shadow. Y'all can hear me? We good? I'm about to
yeah.
go in. All right. Whether the unconscious comes up with at first in a helpful or a negative form after a time, the need usually arises to readapt the conscious attitude in a better way to the unconscious factors, therefore, to accept what seems to be criticism. I'm going somewhere with this. Criticism from the unconscious. Through dreams, those are illustrations. Through dreams, one becomes acquainted with aspects of one's own personality that, for various reasons, one has preferred not to look at too closely. This is what Jung called the realization of the shadow. In parentheses, he used the term shadow for the unconscious part of the personality because it actually often appears in dreams in the personified form. The shadow is not the whole of the unconscious personality. It represents unknown or little known attributes and qualities of the ego aspect that mostly belong to the personal sphere and that could just as well be conscious. In some aspects, the shadow can also consist of collective factors that stem from a source outside the individual's personal life. Now, what I'm about to read now, I got highlighted. When an individual makes an attempt to see his shadow, he becomes aware of and often ashamed of those qualities and impulses he denies in himself but can plainly see in other people. Such things as egotism, mental laziness and sloppiness, unreal fantasies, schemes and plots, carelessness and cowardness, inorientated love of money and possession, in short, all the little sins about which he might previously have told himself that doesn't matter. Nobody will notice it. In any case, other people in any case, other people do it too. Now, all that shit right there, I can actually relate to that shit. That's real shit because when I first heard Panic talking about the ego, and then when he got into that dark psychology shit, that shit kind of made me feel kind of weird because I see how that shit was like I'm like, damn, like I do that shit. You know what I'm saying? Like, yo, I've done that shit. Like I've thought like that before. You know what I'm saying? And that's real if you going through that process and you keeping it honest with yourself. Because it's all true, because it's easy to point the finger at somebody else. But what about your shit? Okay. If you feel an overwhelming rage coming up in your friend, if you feel an overwhelming rage coming up in you when a friend approaches you about a fault, you can be fairly sure that at this point you will find a part of your shadow of which you are unconscious. It is of course natural to become annoyed when others who are not better criticize you because of shadow faults. But what can you say if your own dreams and inner judge in your own being reapproach you? And remember, I was saying that, and remember, I came back to this book. Like I was saying, I forgot about this book. But remember in the other lecture when I was saying that your dreams will show you your progress and what you're going through, whether you're doing it whatever. That's pretty much
Right,
what he's saying right there. You know what I'm saying?
right.
That's what he said right there. Um, okay, this is the moment when the ego gets caught, and the result is usually embarrassed silence. Afterwards, the pain and the lengthy work of self-education begins. A work we might a work we might say that is the psychological equivalent to the labors of Hercules.
That is so true. That
That
is
yo, it's
so
go ahead. You want to say
facts.
something? Y'all want to say something on that?
I'm just no, I mean, it's just so on point. It's just so on point. That's how you know when that shit hit. When it hit a person. And when I speak to people, that's like, that's kind of where I'm trying to get to. Cause it's not about you, me. I try to like take my emotions out of it and just get down to that point. Like you doing this one thing, you feel me? And you're not
Right,
seeing
right,
how the source of it, why it's important to get to the source of it, because it's showing up over and over in different places. You feel me?
right.
And when you hit that one spot, they will go
Yeah, I
quiet,
did.
myself included. When
Right.
somebody called my shit out, it may be the shit that I might admit to myself, but I don't never say it to nobody else. And when they call
Yeah.
it out, you be
T-
like,
Yep.
because
See
I
what you
can't,
said
ain't
just
nothing else
now?
I can
That's why
say.
that's what we're talking about right there. What you said just now. That's why we doing this. That shit right there.
Right,
Niggas to keep that shit to themselves. They hide
right,
it. And what you said right there, that's just a mundane level. They got
right.
this level of the shadow that's deeper than that. Where motherfuckers just act like certain things don't even
Don't
exist.
even exist.
You understand what I'm saying? Like it don't even
That's a case
exist.
study for me because I'm like, yo, for me, I don't have that much audacity. I know this shit exists, so I might put myself in a certain place. You really acting like this shit don't exist, and it's getting worse.
Right, right.
So yeah,
What I wanted to
continue.
say
Jesse is
too,
back too.
yeah, I see. Yeah, what I wanted to say too was before we started was I like as far as me and my journey, what I'm going through, right? It's a lot of times I was going through certain levels of the transformation, and I didn't really know where to put it. I didn't really understand it. You know what I'm saying? But I know what I was experiencing. You know what I'm
Right.
saying? And the reason why I'm kind of the way I am with this process, this individuation process and the shadow and all that, because as I'm reading it and studying it and understanding it, this is literally what I was going through.
Yeah.
Now I have somewhere to put it to understand. Like y'all motherfuckers don't even know how that shit makes a motherfucker feel, my nigga.
Yes.
You understand what
Yes.
I'm saying? That shit is
Yeah.
key. That
Yeah.
shit is key because
Yeah.
it's like it just make my journey makes even more fucking sense. Now I
Sense.
found
Yeah.
literature and scholarship based on shit that I was going through, internal based on
Right.
my journey. Like I said,
Right.
I don't control my abilities. I just let shit go. So that's how I'm taking shit. But I'm connecting the dots because, like I said before, I know how to get answers. And then
Right.
for some reason, when we did that left hand path shit,
Right.
something because that's what started this. That's what started this journey. That's what
Mm-hmm.
that shit we for me into this shit right here. We spoke because I
Right.
always knew the science on the left hand path. That's why I wanted to talk about it because I know people be on the fence of it. That's why I want to bring it to
Right.
light and
Right.
simplify it. But something else happened while I was doing that shit in front of the camera. You understand what I'm
Mm-hmm.
saying? And it
Yeah.
led me to all I'm gonna say is this process. I don't give a fuck what nobody say. This is a real thing. This is real.
Of
This is
course.
real.
Absolutely.
This is real.
Absolutely.
This is real. This
Absolutely.
is real. All right, I'm gonna continue. Whether the shadow becomes our friend or enemy depends largely upon ourselves. As the dream of the unconscious house and the French desperado both show, the shadow is not necessarily always an opponent. In fact, he can exact in any human being with whom one has to get along, sometimes by giving in, sometimes by resisting, sometimes by giving love. Whether the situation requires, the shadow becomes hostile only when he is ignored or misunderstood. That
Mm,
shit
Mm,
sound like regular
mm,
human behavior.
mm.
Defiant, regular human behavior.
Yep.
Sometimes, though not often, an individual feels impelled to live out the worst side of his nature and to repress the better side. In such cases, the shadow appears as a positive figure in dreams. But to a person who lives out his natural emotions and feelings, the shadow may appear as a cold and negative intellectual. It then personifies poisonous judgment and negative thoughts that have been held back. So, whenever form it takes, the function of the shadow is to um, represent the opposite side of the ego and to embody just those qualities that one dislike most in order. I'm sorry, dislike most in other people. So this is like when you be projecting shit, when motherfuckers be projecting and shit, nigga, you know what I'm saying? They niggas say some shit to you and you know what the fuck it is, and you throw that shit right back. You don't even acknowledge that shit.
Right.
Uh, okay, what the fuck was okay. It would be relatively easy if one could integrate the shadow into the conscious personality just by attempting to be honest and to use one's insight. But unfortunately, such an attempt does not always work. There is such a passionate drive within the shadowy part of one that reason may not prevail against it. A bitter experience coming from the outside may occasionally help. A brick, so to speak, has to drop on one's head to put a stop to the shadow's drive and impulses. Remember, I was saying about the individuation process, like it has to be like something that you have to be pushed to. Like you have to go through something to drop. Like you're not going to just consciously say, you know what, I'm gonna take
Right.
this job. You're not going to do it. It
Right.
has to be something that you have to go through that's going to force you down that motherfucker.
Mm.
That's what I was saying just now. Um, Yeah, we said a bitter experience comes from the outside may occasionally help. A brick, so to speak, has to drop on one's head. You know what I'm saying? Like something crazy have to happen to you for you to be like, you know what? Fuck that. I'm gonna go in. And then it goes at time, a heroic decision may serve to halt them. But such a Superman effort is usually possible only if the great man within helps the individual to carry it through. And the great man here, they got in parentheses, meaning the self, yourself, your true self, has to
Right.
step in and start that process for you. It says, the fact that the shadow contains the overwhelming power of irresistible impulses does not mean, however, that the drive should always be heroically repressed. Sometimes the shadow is powerful because the urge of the shadow is pointing in the same direction. So, and so one does not know whether it is the self or the shadow that is the pressure that's behind the inner pressure. If the
That is so
unconscious
true.
one, yeah, go ahead, go ahead. I want to say something. Yeah,
No, no, no. I'm sorry. That's just so. I'm just
yeah,
saying it's just true. That's true. That's so
yeah,
true.
yeah. I was gonna say that. I was gonna say the same thing. Yeah, that shit is true because I went through that. I went through that same shit. In the unconscious, one is unfortunate in the same situation as in a moonlit landscape. All the contents are blurred and merged into one another. And oh, I'm sorry. Um, all the contents are blurred and merged into one another, and one never knows exactly what one or where is anything is, or where one thing begins and ends. This is known as contamination of the unconscious content. When June
Mm.
called one aspect of the unconscious, you want to say something, B?
I'm hearing.
Oh, when June called one aspect of the unconscious personality the shadow, he was referring to a relatively well defined factor. But sometimes everything is unknown to the ego and get mixed up with the shadow, including even when the most valuable and highest forces, who, for instance, could be quite sure whether the French desperado in the okay, that was a dream that he made example of. I didn't read the dream part. I just want to read certain things what I got highlighted. Okay. If the shadow figure contains valuable vital forces, they ought to be assimilated into actual experiences and not repressed. It ends it's up to the ego to give it its pride. It's up to the ego to give up its pride and prickishness and to live out something that seems to be dark but actually may not be. This can require a sacrifice just as a heroic as the conquest of passion, but in the opposite sense. Now, what I want to talk about now is the anima and the animus. But I'm going to talk about the anima a little bit more as far as the man within. And this is the aspect of the shadow. And this is and I have my own experience. I'm gonna talk about that shit. And this is another thing um that comes from the shadow. And the man is called the anima, it's the woman within, and the woman is called the animus, the man within. So it's like the feminine side of the man and the masculine side of the woman. And and even before I understood what this was, like spiritually, I will always like in the very beginning years ago, I will always say like it seems like as far as the man being the masculine energy, it seemed like he would have to tap into the feminine energy to balance itself out. And for a female being feminine, she would have to tap into the masculine energy to balance herself out. So that's kind of what this concept of the anima and the animus is within. But it's connected to the shadow because it's the shit that we suppress. But this is how they show up. They show up in these dark goddesses. And after I read from this,
Hmm.
I'm going to read from this book right here.
What's that one? Let me see.
Encountering the Dark Goddess
That's by
by
who?
a journey into the shadow realms by Francis Billinghurst. Billinghurst.
There you go.
This is good. Yo, Rashida, did I ever mention this book to you?
Yeah, I got that one too.
Oh, okay, okay, yeah. I wanna read some shit from this book with Medusa. Yeah, that bitch still coming through. Um, okay. This is the anima, the woman within, as far as the man. Um, Difficult and subtle. Ethical problems are not invariably brought up by the appearance of the shadow itself. One offers often another inner figure emerges. If the dreamer is a man, he will discover a female personification of his unconscious, and it will be, I'm sorry, if the dreamer is a man, he will discover a female personification of his unconscious, and it will be a male figure in the case of a woman. I got to get some new glasses. Often this often this second symbolic figure turns up behind the shadow, bringing up new and different problems. Jung called it male and female forms, animus and anima. The anima is a personification of all female psychological tendencies in the man's psyche, such
Mm.
as a such as vague feelings and moods, prophetic hunches, receptiveness, and to the irritation, yeah, and to the irrational capacity for personal love, feelings for nature, and last but not least, his relationship to the unconscious. It is no mere chance that in the olden times, priestess like the Greek sibyls were used to fathom the divine will and to make connections with the gods. A particular good example of how the anima is experienced in the inner figure of man's psyche is found in the medicine man and prophets, shamans, among the Eskimos and other Arctic tribes. Some of these even wore women's clothes or have breasts depicted on their garments in order to manifest their inner feminine side, the side that enables them to connect with the ghost land, i.e., what we call the unconscious. Now, I find that to be interesting. Now, I always knew that that's what the shamans and the priests did back in the days. And even as far as, I read this book called, it was called Gay Shaman, where they had these gay shamans and all that. But of course, back then, it wasn't looked at the way it's looked at now. Even, it just wasn't looked at the same way. But they were dressed up as these women, as these goddesses. You know what I'm saying? And 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 this is on an unconscious level. He's a piece of shit. But Tyler Perry. Now we know they dress women up. They make the man wear the dress in Hollywood for the bullshit.
Right.
But on another level, as far as what Tyler Perry did, and I know he don't fucking know this shit because he dressed up as this character called Medea. You understand what I'm saying? Medea.
Yeah.
Medea is actually a real fucking goddess, my nigga, in the motherfucking the Golden Fleece mythology with Jason and the Argonauts. Medea, she was the feminine aspect behind his journey. Her name is Medea, and this nigga Tyler Perry, his whole shit is Medea. So unconsciously, whether he know it or not, accept or not, he actually tapped in to that fucking frequency. Just the fact that he's dressed like a woman and everybody's calling him Medea.
And nobody
A
wants to see
frequency was.
him.
Go ahead.
Nobody wants to see him when he's not Medea. As
He
much
looks.
times as he tried, it
So you know
never
exactly
hit.
what I'm talking about. You know
It
exactly what
never
I'm talking
hit.
about. Exactly.
It never
He done
hit.
tapped
He
into a
is
frequency.
Medea.
He
Yeah.
tapped into a frequency already, and she's a motherfucking Greek goddess. She
Who's to
is the
say that?
main aspect behind. She's the feminine aspect behind Jason and the Argonauts mythology.
What you say, Daddy?
Uh,
Who's to say that he's not conscious of it?
nah, these niggas don't know.
Touche.
Yeah, but he's
Sometimes, but see, you gotta remember though, like the physical, got the physical level and the spiritual level, which but sometimes these humans, the spirits be putting these motherfuckers in position to show us shit. But sometimes they don't even have to know what the fuck that they being used.
Right,
You
but
okay.
understand what I'm
sometimes
saying?
they do. Sometimes they do.
Yeah, sometimes they do,
Yeah,
but
they
if they
do.
don't
They
know, it's
do.
okay. You know what I'm
They
saying?
do. Yeah, yeah. But sometimes they do. You be surprised. They may not
Right. Well,
know
It
exactly what
just
it is, but they know.
right,
You'd
right.
be
Okay,
just
surprised.
okay.
like, yeah, y'all remember in the American Gods, what's
Right,
his name? Orlando Jones.
right.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Um,
A Nancy.
y'all remember that and Nancy, the spirit took over him on that.
And he knew
That's
his
why they
people
fired
came
him.
from that. Yeah, he wrote all that shit. That's why
Oh
they
yeah,
The
fired
in
him.
real
spirit,
life, in real
yeah,
life, yeah.
the spirit, yeah,
Yeah.
the spirit took over him on that. All them dialogues that he had, that we all know why they didn't get they stopped it why they did,
Because I was trying to
but
figure out why did they stop that shit
I didn't know that.
That's
and they
why.
fired him.
That's
and
why.
fired
His
him. Word and fired
Yeah, his
him.
grandmother and all of that was into him. She taught him about Anansi. These were things that she used to like stories she used to tell him before he went to bed. So he's well equipped to all
Mm.
of this stuff.
See, this shit
This
And
is
was
the
right
us,
up
spirits
my
his
took over
dude.
him.
alley.
This shit is us.
Yeah.
This shit is us.
Them
That's why you gotta
dialogues, them
fuck with
dialogues that he
mythology.
did, that was spirit. That was the spirit that
Yeah,
took
he
all
wrote
them
Yo,
this.
son, this
dialogues
is
that he
word is
did.
born. Son, my fucking hair to stand up right now. Son, that's why you gotta mythology. And because it's funny we say I'm gonna get into this shit. The characters and mythology, it's us because it speaks, it's the archetype energies in the collective unconscious, and we
Exactly.
are connected to that shit, dog. We are
Yeah.
connected
The
to that.
blueprint.
That's why it makes sense to self-deify yourself, nigga. Because you're opening up another aspect in your fucking unconscious mind, dog. That's all you're doing. And if you truly understand the science, the more energies you fuck with, the broader your shit. All right, you see. But that's a choice. Everybody don't want to fuck with spirits like that. But I'm telling you, that's why those
Because
characters and
your
mythologies
mind
are
is
there.
infinite.
They are the characters and mythology, the archetype characters and mythology are expressed for a reason. You understand what I'm saying? They give us these stories for a reason, my nigga. And they all got every fucking mythology got the same shit. No matter whether it's Hindu, Norse, Egyptian,
And
Native American, it's all the same, just different characters.
and it all goes back to that left hand path. Christ consciousness,
Everything
what
is.
they want to call it, left hand path. Left hand path.
You was about to say something, Holly?
Mm-mm. I agree.
Okay. I'm gonna get to some more reading here. Okay, a particular okay. Okay, this sounds like one more. Okay. One report case tells of a young man who was sitting. Okay, no, that's not it. That's not okay. Is it? Okay, yeah. It's okay. Boom, boom, boom. I'm gonna get this right. And the power of the answer, experiencing circle animal. Okay, and its individual manifestation of the character of the man's anima. It is a rule shaped by his mother. Mm. If he feels that his mother has a negative influence on him, his animal will often express itself in irritable, depressed moods, uncertainty, insecurity, insecurity, and touchness, touchiness. If in parentheses it got if he, however, it goes if however he is able to overcome the negative assaults on himself, they can serve to reinforce his masculinity. In a what's it called? Okay, within the soul of man. Yo, I gotta get some new glasses, though, because this print is small on this bitch. Within the soul of such a man, the negative mother anima figure will end will endlessly repeat this theme. I am nothing, makes nothing makes sense. Um, um, with others it's different, but for me, I enjoy nothing. This animal moods cause a sort of dullness, a fear of disease, of impotence, or of accidents. The whole of life, the whole of life takes on a sad and oppressive aspect. Such dark moods can even lure a man to suicide, in which case the anima becomes a death demon. She appears in this role as cocktail. Some shit. It's a film, some French film. They use it. I guess they did a film. I don't know how to do this art describing shit like that. They got some shit like they draw these illustrations describing the what you call them. But I'm gonna pick it up. Okay. It says the anima has two aspects: benevolent and malefic, or negative. Above is a scene, boom, boom, boom. And I'm reading this because this is what I went. Remember, I told y'all about when I had that dream about them three. Well, I called them three witches. That psychic attack I had.
Right.
That experience was what I'm about to read right now. That's what that attack was. That's what I was going through in my life at that time. That's why I had that dream.
Mm.
It says it says the woman can be seen as a lethal anima, for she has led Orpheus being carried by dark. underworld figures to his doom. Also malevolent, or the lore is Lorelei of the Teutonic myth. It says um it's comparing them to this is a good example of nymphs. You see how nymphs I'm not nymphs what you call the motherfuckers from the waters, um the
Sirens?
sirens. There
Yeah.
we go. The sirens. The sirens is a good example of that because the sirens is the anima of the male. That's why in the movies and the mythology, they always come to the men and they sing to
Right.
the men and they lure the men into the water and they lure them into their death and they kill them. That's literally what I'm talking about. And that is what I went through in that psychic attack because it was three females and they laid me down and they told me we're about to take out your demonic energy. It's the same concept. But had I not been, let's just say spiritually fortified in that
Right.
dream, I would have came out that shit fucked up. But I came out victorious because I knew what to do. And here it tells you what happened if you don't come out victorious in that. And the reason why I'm saying this is because that's key. Because if you're not strong spiritually and emotionally on a certain level, that's how you can get lost in your shadow and it will get the
Mm,
Right.
best of you and it'll
Yeah.
fuck your whole life up.
Yep.
mm,
You understand what I'm saying?
Yep.
mm.
And that's key to understand that because there's a lot of people that's on the fence with shadow work. And to a
Right.
certain degree, I understand, but you need to understand it's the only way to wholeness.
Yeah,
You
I think
can't.
that's the part that kind where people
Go
like
ahead.
dip back out, like, no, I gotta go back to the church because this is what they was talking about, like
Mm.
I think that's the point where people break and it's like, yeah, no, I need God because I can't do
Right.
it, I can't do it. And it's a reality check because that's where a lot of the it's beyond issues, the physical issues, the health
Right.
issues, the emotional issues,
Absolutely.
the
100
relationship issues,
motherfucking percent,
the
Rob.
self-esteem issues, the self-worth issue. That's where it's all at. And they always get to that door. And when it's time to open it, no, I don't want to go there. No,
I don't
I
think
Hit
they
prefer
that
the
shit
understand.
right on the
memory.
motherfucking button, dog.
I
You
don't
hit
think
that
they
shit right
understand
on
that.
the
That's when
motherfucking button.
they
What
lack
say,
knowledge.
Daddy?
They can't understand.
Right. Right. Yeah, it's a lack of knowledge and it's a fear. They don't want to relive certain things, which is understandable. But
Totally
everything that you
understandable.
that you've built yourself on, right? Because obviously when you get to a point like this, it's because who you are at the moment is not the person that's gonna be able to do the shit that you want to do. If you're not that person, you got to become the person that's able to do the shit that you want to do. And in order for you to do that,
Facts.
you got to get rid of who you are right now because it's not getting the job done. It's not.
Yep.
So,
It's hard.
and every time you do that work, it leads you right back to that place that you keep trying to run from. So why not just go ahead and feel it? Feel sad, cry if you need to do it. Whatever you
You
got to do
have
to get
to,
through
man. You
that,
have to.
just
Yeah,
you got to
man. But they
surrender
got
to that.
deities for that, man. They got deities for all that emotional shit.
And
That's what
that's
tarot is for.
absolutely and both sides, right? Because if you don't know about deities, or if you still have a certain mindset, then the deities become crutches, and then you still not doing nothing.
Right.
You still imagining shit. You still giving it
That
up to something else.
that's
Do they
what
work?
that's where the honesty comes from.
Absolutely.
That's where
Yeah,
the
but that
honest.
has
That's
to
where you got to
come
be honest with
first.
yourself.
That has to come first because that's why I'm telling you, there will be people walking around and that's where they stuck at. Oh, it wasn't me. It was the deity. It wasn't me. It
Mm.
was this
Yeah,
deity.
you was telling me that shit before,
You
and I was dialing. I was like, yo, people
it's
actually
real.
do that.
It's real. Yes, it's very real. But
That's
again,
like that's like that's like saying the devil made me do it.
yes, but again,
Yeah, it's still looking on the outside.
you're
Yeah, that's
not
like saying the
breaking through
devil made me
nothing.
do it.
Yeah,
Yo,
because you're
son, this
not
is word
breaking
the
through
mother. I don't give
nothing.
a fuck what deity I fuck with, and I fuck with everything. Y'all know that. If I'm going through something or something, I hit a bump or an obstacle or something, nigga, that shit don't even that shit don't even come into my consciousness to blame a fucking deity. Like that's fucking child's play, dog. That's
Yeah, but
child's
that's
play.
a level that you gotta reach, and that's the reality of what's going on outside. You know, that's the reality of it. So to get into these mindsets and the psychology of things, to understand your own psyche is really the most important foundational tool, so you could understand mythology, so you could understand how to work with these deities. If you say you really are a spiritual person and this is what you want to deal with, because spirituality is about dealing with spirits. That's you can't be spiritual with leaving out spirits. Like
Yo,
that's not how it
Rashida,
works.
yo, I swear to God, I'm laughing because to me, you know what's funny? I'm laughing because I've always said that to myself. Like, it makes sense, but I've never heard nobody say. You are the first person that I heard say that shit. Yo, dude, if you consider yourself spirituality, why the fuck you don't fuck with spirits? Yo, right, I would say that shit to myself all the time, and you the first person I heard say that shit because it makes sense to me. It makes
It
sense.
makes
If you
sense.
spiritual, why you not fucking with the spirits?
You fuck
It
with
seemed like
spirits.
it just go together.
But it's a
But you got
mindset as
motherfuckers.
well, because it needs to be, a lot of things need to be alignment. For some people, like, some people like us, we understand shit, right? We understand things in a certain way. And there's a lot of people that just don't. And they have to be kind of spoon fed something before you just give them a whole bunch of shit, right? Because you don't know what kind of mindset that they have. And you're not responsible for it, but you are
Right.
responsible in the way that you disseminate certain information,
Hmm.
because you people, if you order, like, if you order a treadmill today and they ain't gonna send you no instructions on how to put the shit together, like, it's a free for all kind of, you feel me? Now you may get it to somewhat what looks together, but you turn that shit on and get on it, it broke apart. Now you done fell, broke your neck, all types of shit. You feel me? So if you giving somebody something, at least let them know, like, and I'm not saying you don't, or I'm not talking about you,
Yeah.
but
Yeah.
I'm
Yeah.
just
Yeah. Yeah.
saying
Oh
that
yeah. All you got to do is
understanding.
read. If you read mythology, just read the stories. That's how you get familiar with the energy. You don't got to jump into it. Just read the stories. Everybody know every spirit. Mythology exists. We all talk about Christ consciousness, so we know that it's there. Just read the mythology. That's how you get familiar with the energies, and then you can even make a decision what type of deity or what pantheon you want to fuck with. Just
Mm.
read the stories. That's all you got to do.
Absolutely.
Read the stories. That's how you get familiar
Absolutely.
with the fucking energy.
But you
It
need
ain't
to
nothing
learn
hard.
about yourself first. You need to learn
Yo,
about you.
believe it or
You
not,
need to listen to me, people.
sometimes
Learn
starting through
yourself first,
mythology,
because this is how psychosis be starting. This is
because
how
you
psychosis be
absolutely right. But
starting.
guess what? I found myself by studying mythology first. Because when I fucking saw
Me
Bobby
too.
Hemmett, and the
Me
first
too.
thing what drew me to Bobby Hemmett
Me
was
too.
he had this platform, this little table shit, and he had all these Egyptian deities just laid out. Like at that time, I never saw anything like that in my life. That's my first time seeing that shit. And the way he was talking about it, and he was connected
Right.
it with us. and that
Right.
and that's and that's what made me actually get into mythology like that because
Right.
that's how it
Right.
was invited to me. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
So
Same here.
studying
Yes.
mythology
Same
was
here.
how I actually started to get into knowing who the fuck I am.
Yes.
So that's just
Absolutely.
my
Same.
journey.
Right. Same here. And y'all know my story. But
Right, right,
again,
right.
just in being responsible, because some people may gravitate toward spirits and some may not. It doesn't mean that they can't still participate in
Not at all.
individuation. And that's just what I'm saying. That's all I'm getting at. But yeah, just that aspect of,
Yeah, because
you
Carl
gotta
Jung
you
doesn't
gotta you
necessarily
gotta
talk
break
about.
it all down. You gotta break yourself down. You gotta
Yeah,
get
but he
down
doesn't
pat
talk
your
about this
part.
process. He doesn't talk about the process of individualization like you have to use deities with it. That's just something that I choose to do.
Yeah,
Because if
I
you
know that.
this is yeah,
Yeah,
this is a problem.
I know.
This is for the self.
I
But I
know.
just
Yeah.
I just put a little twist on that shit. So yeah,
Yeah,
if you
yeah,
don't,
yeah,
if nah,
yeah.
you don't
No,
have to
and
fuck
that's
with, you don't have to fuck
necessary.
with that.
That's necessary. I'm just saying, give both. Is
Yeah,
give both.
but
Give.
that's what you
Yeah.
do, right? That's what you
Yeah.
here for. You talk about the light. I talk about the dark. You talk about the light. Nah, because I know I need balance with certain things. Speaking of fucking people, I'm not good at that. I can admit
No,
that
you
shit.
just be surprised at how you say one thing and somebody heard something completely different.
Hmm. Yeah, that's part of that path. That's what that path does. Okay. We're gonna talk about. Okay, I did that. I'm about to go into. Okay, yeah. Okay, now I'm about to go into the next book because this is yeah. There's no more highlights after this. Okay, yeah. But the same process. I'm not gonna really get into the animus within the man because it's like the same process. That's why just get the book. You know what I'm saying? But if anybody else want to say something real fast, because I'm about to read from this book right here, Encountering the Dark Goddess, A Journey into the Shadow Realm by Francis Billinghurst.
Yeah,
This is
so
a good
please get
fucking book right
into
here. Yeah.
incorporating the deities with the shadow work and the individuation
And
process.
and this is okay, it's let's see, that's one. And I found some shit. Yeah, I'm gonna read some shit. I found some shit. I want to read some shit that I found. Reading some shit on my phone. Of course, it's all connected with June. I was it's dealing with the anima, the animus. You know what I'm saying? And this is mostly the dark goddess aspect. Dealing with the as far as the healing aspect, and actually what the dark goddess represents as far as that shadow. Because a lot of mythology too, a lot of the goddesses they go through a lot of these trials and situations with these male goddesses. You know what I'm saying?
Yep.
They always get put in a lot of fucked up positions by the males, get tossed to the
Yep.
underworld, you know what I'm saying, for being, you know what the fuck I mean. So I see how when I started understanding, I see how they are connected with that shadow aspect, that dark aspect. You know what I'm saying? Okay, it says this is just some shit I'm gonna read real fast before I get into this book. It says while the anima initially represents life, emotion, and intuition, her dark manifestations embodies repressed fears or misunderstood feminine energies. In mythology, figures like Kali, Hecate, and Morgan Le Fay or Lilith personify this energy. And you had mentioned some of those goddesses before. It says, okay, this is a map of how the animal can show up. It says the shadow projection. Most men often project their repressed emotions, fears, and vulnerabilities and hidden desires onto women. The dark goddess represents these disowned parts. Psychological transformation. Encountering the dark anima can be terrifying, but it is necessary for individuation. It forces a man to confront his own unconscious fears, aggressive instincts, and hidden emotional depths. It says, now this is called the dual nature. It says, just as the anima can be benevolent guide like Sophia or Beatrice, or a destructive temptress like a Cyrene, it's funny saying that just now, the dark goddesses embodies both the destroyer and the regenerator, symbolizing that out of psychological destruction comes rebirth and wholeness. Okay. Yeah, that's just something I was like researching, some shit, and I thought this would be cool just to read because it's going to tie into this dark goddess aspect right here.
Right.
Okay. Anybody want to say something before I start reading this? You know.
I would say, that's right on point. With being a woman, like from the time that you hit puberty, you're constantly going through this death and rebirth, death and rebirth, death and rebirth. You guys are men, so fortunately, you have no idea what it's like to go through a menstruation cycle. Like, we literally, as women, only get 2 weeks out of the month when we're like normal. If you're like a regular healthy woman, if you're hemorrhaging or
Right.
you have fibroids and stuff like that, where you're over bleeding, it could be even more. And like even right before you begin to menstruate, like that week before you menstruate, sometimes you really just wake up and everything get on your damn nerves. Like you was just happy when you went to sleep. You was fine. Nothing was wrong. Like you probably even
Mm-hmm.
had a
Mm-hmm.
good dream, but you get up and somebody probably dropped something on the floor. Oh my God, you want to tear the world apart. Burn this whole shit down. Like, even me, like I go to the gym every day probably one day out the, I mean, 1 week out of the month, I'm like mad strong. I could lift mad weight. Like I couldn't believe I could lift it. By week 3, I can't, I got to go down like 20, 30 pounds, man, because I can't lift it.
Mm,
So it's this
mm,
constant in our bodies, right? We're menstruating because we're not having babies. So our whole body is like doing this shedding process from the inside out, from your
right, right,
organs to your hormones,
right.
your physicality. Sometimes you know, you had some girls throw up, some girls lose hair, some girls can't sleep, some girls sleep too much. Like, you know, it's a whole process that nobody understands, and then you still gotta walk through the world like everything normal. Like I don't want to curse you out for no absolute reason and then eat some ice cream right after that. Like so I could completely empathize with that energy of the goddess too, with our emotions, because we're always taught to suppress them. And that's where a lot of our power is. You know, that's why sometimes when them old women, when they pray, just when they speak, if they say some shit to you, you be
Right,
scared that it's gonna happen to you because they
right.
have so much conviction. There's so much
But yeah, I was about to say,
emotions
if
and
they say
things
that
that
shit a certain
they've
way and shit,
suppressed.
hell yeah,
Yeah,
hell
there's
yeah,
so much that they suppress and it has to
mm,
go somewhere. Some women
hell
put it
fucking
in
yeah.
prayer, some women put it in dance,
Watch out.
sex, their
Watch
works,
out.
whatever. That's that masculine side, or that what you were just calling it, the animus or the
Yeah,
anima.
the and
That's that,
the woman is the animus.
right, that they got to confront. Y'all be telling us we too masculine, but we kind of got to be, you know, this the part of us that
Right.
got to come out so we can operate in the world by ourselves without you, or maybe even with you if you ain't doing what you're supposed to do, you know? So I completely empathize with that. And as you learn more about the dark goddesses, you kind of see how these triggering and these traumatic um situations in the mythology, what sticks out to me the most
Yep.
is
There we go.
the emotion that hits them and how they respond to it. That rage, that or that silent rage, or how they just
Yep.
come and clip your
Yep.
shit without,
Yep.
you
That's a
know, because they
fact.
know how to
Because that's
shed.
that. Yep.
They
That's
shed
what's
all
been
that
that's what's been
shit.
attacked in the mythology. That's what's been attacked in the mythology. Their emotions, their feminine
That
energies being
emotion,
attacked. Even before
right?
religion came, with the god being masculine and all that, especially it's heavy in Greek. If you see Greek mythology, dude, they be shitting on the goddesses, yo. They be
Yep,
shitting on 'em, raping them, and all that shit. Not just the human. They do that shit to the goddesses too.
to the
Mm.
goddesses, yeah, absolutely. But continue, unless nobody has.
Yeah. Any Jesse? Anybody holler? Anybody? Go ahead, read. Okay. This part right here is called descending into the great below. Um,
Ascending. What is it? What is it called?
descending,
Descending to the great
descend,
below.
yeah, descending into the great below. Okay. To truly understand the dark goddess and nearly impossible. Her darkness itself reflects back a depth that can be so profound it disturbs our psyche. Her appearance in our lives is often intense when we find ourselves standing before the unfathomable abyss, overcome with um, petrified emotions, fear, and apprehension as our world falls apart around us. As our control slips through our fingers like grains of sand, yet she is there waiting. Instead of initially surrendering to the process, some of us attempt to hang on to familiar, regardless of how detrimental it may be. It is only when we realize that to fight against this change and that hanging on is futile and it's actually only adding to our plan. I'm sorry, it's only adding to our pain and anguish that only opinion is to completely surrender to the process, whatever that may be, and accept what we are undergoing. This does not necessarily mean the journey will find ourselves undertaking It does not necessarily mean the journey we find ourselves undertaking will be any less painful, but there does tend to be even a minute degree of clarity in the process, offering us the opportunity to breathe and when we learn to ride the waves instead of attempting to battle against them. The dark goddess appears when transformation is needed. I'm gonna say that shit again. Not because I fucked up, because I'm gonna say that shit again. The dark goddess appears when transformation is needed. This transformation, regardless of whether we are consciously aware of it or not, is often needed at a deeper level of our own soul's evolution. For this deep change to occur, unwanted or outdated habits, behaviors, situations, or even relationships need to be shed. Emotional detachments can be experienced as we witness layers of our life being removed. Many of these layers have been molded into us by other people's perceptions and social expectations. If we are consciously aware of this, then we may be, if we are consciously aware of this, then there may be a degree of hesitation or reluctance on our part to make the necessary changes. Okay, I don't got that part highlighted, but I'm gonna read it anyway because what I got under is highlighted. Fuck it. Y'all good? Keep going?
Go ahead.
Okay. The dark goddess has no emotional attachment to the unwanted. She cannot be influenced by the needs and exceptions of other people. She has no interest in gender, race, and politics. Men as well as women can work with the dark goddess. She goes beyond human layering and labels. What she focuses on is a deeper level of change and transformation that is needed in our own life in order to bring about longer, more positive results. Of course, we can choose to ignore her existence and continue with life that we are familiar with. However, in doing this, it will only be a matter of time before she makes her presence known to us, storming into our lives and erupting like a volcano to ensure that our lives will never be the same again. Often rightly so. If we have been hanging on, if, I'm sorry, if we have been heading off down the wrong path or direction, the longer and stronger that we have ignored her, the stronger we hang on our previous existence, the more powerful and greater impact she will have on our lives. Now, this is what I got highlighted. Regardless of how we define her, it is the dark goddess who tends to be neglected, feared, or misunderstood. We need to realize that it is within her darkness that the keys to the secrets of power and the divine feminine can truly be found, as well as our connection with the earth, night, and the mysteries realm of dreams. Even magic and transformation takes place among Even magic and transformation takes place here amongst the shadows. Interesting. It is within the darkness that a seed germinates and the brilliance of a star can be seen. It is within the understanding the dark goddesses and integrating her into our spiritual lives that we can gain true power and inner growth, not to mention the enlightenment of spiritual awareness. Anybody got anything to say before I go on? I got a little bit more than
Oh, go
yeah,
ahead.
yeah. Okay.
Oh,
Okay.
hold up. Can you
Yeah,
hear
yeah,
me?
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah. What you were just reading just now, what came to mind was La Satisa Moete, right? Remember in the first Lucy, remember she had it tatted on her back when she
No,
was
the
about to
Chinese,
kill the,
the
when
Asian
she was
dude had
about
it
to
tat.
no, no, one of the girls, my fault,
Yeah,
not her.
yeah, right,
One of the girls that he had, the two brothers he had, one of them had that tattoo on her back. And you know
right,
they gave you that freeze frame, that quick second of it for a reason.
right,
The
right,
transformation, the dark goddess. And remember when she came through, she did what he did to him, whatever, whatever. That's
right.
what just came to
Interesting,
mind when you was
right.
reading that
Because
to me
it's
just
funny you
now.
say that too. Because I was like, yo, I'm watching. I'm like, yeah. Why would they show that? Why would they make sure that you saw that fucking image on her back? They made sure you saw that shit. They didn't show it long, but they made sure that your eyes saw that shit.
And
And most
remember,
people
she
probably
was
didn't even
going
know that
through
was La
the
Santissima Muerte. The
right.
transformation. She
That's
was
when
going
she
through the
was going through the
transformation.
shit, her DNA changing and shit through that
Yep.
whole process. Yeah.
That actually been that they did that process in a woman, that would be an example of the dark goddess going through transformation. Lucy,
Yeah.
on one level. That
Yeah.
movie is multi-layered, but just how you just brought that aspect up, you could kind of look at it like that. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
'Cause she did go through, because yeah, she had to strip everything. All her humanity was leaving.
He
Okay.
became melanated.
Yeah, she turned to melanin when it was all said and done. Okay. As already mentioned, a more recent journey into the great below the realm. Okay, no, we don't talk about her. Oh yeah, yeah. Below the realm of Aristocal was forced out voluntarily. Okay, no, no, that's not what I'll say. Okay, for this, it is what the dark goddess does remind us of the unexpected, constantly testing our resolve, all with deeper purpose that our own conscious mind is comfortable with. It is she who calls our deep. It is she who calls to our deeper soul self, our higher consciousness that has been caught up and bogged down by ego-based connections and associations. And associations our physical self experiences. Dash pain, grief, distress, and other deep emotions. But such feelings are important not to own, but but such feelings are important to our own spiritual growth and soul development, for it is through experiencing emotions, the feeling of pain, suffering, etc., that our souls gain invaluable insight into ways on how the best we can rise above such feelings and work through them in order to see the lessons that are contained within. Okay, a little bit of this, and then that's going to be it. Yep, that's the end of that. Okay, hold on. I can't see shit. This is killing me. Okay. This is different from the phase finding yourself that is often heard within a number of modern psychotherapies, for at the core of our being, there is actually no self defined. Instead, there is our core, is a place of nothingness, a void that allows for all potentiality to occur. This means that we are never actually lost in the first place. In order to realize this potentiality that can manifest all we are, that can mess all we really need to do, all we really need to do, sit down, breathe, and just manifest and breathe in this nothingness. I'm sorry, let me read that again, guys. This means that we never actually lost in the first place. In order to realize the potentiality that can manifest, all we really need to do is to sit and breathe in this nothingness. And in doing this, so we will be able to find ourselves and what we are consistently being told is missing in our lives. Light can be a blinding illusion, distraction from the truth, preventing us from seeing the reality that is in front of us. Yeah, because it's another part. I'm gonna read that shit again. Light can be a blinding illusion, distractions from the truth, preventing us from seeing the reality that is in front of us. The dark goddess does not appear in our lives to intentionally bring us pain. She delivers tough love that brings us the ultimate truth, which can result in the realization of the negative patterns we create for ourselves, the negative choices we make, and how it uplifts us, no one else to make the change. At the end of the day, we cannot have light without darkness. It is only within the darkness that possibilities are revealed and miracles linger. Where renewed can happen, leading to rebirth to occur. Working with the dark goddess calls for truth, not our perceived truth, but the truth, the universal truth that is not behind, that is not hiding behind our rose tinted, emotionally enhanced glasses. I like how they said that. She projects images to us that we often do not wish to acknowledge, let alone accept. Our journey into her realm is to discover who she really is, to lift the veil and to see what lies beneath, and to come face to face with her. This is because the goddess in all her disguises is reflecting within each of us. When we work with, acknowledge, and embrace the dark goddess, we will also work with, acknowledge, and embrace those hidden or ignored aspects within our own self. And this is the last part right here.
Yo, so
Yes,
another way is what Bobby has said back in the day, which makes sense. We are all aspects of the divine feminine.
absolutely.
So really, the masculine part would be just the ego part of the self, right?
Right. As far as the human, as far as in the human body, yeah,
Yeah.
you could look at it like that.
Okay. Okay.
You could look at it like that. Yeah,
My
yeah, yeah,
fault. Go
yeah.
ahead, though. My bad.
I see exactly. Yeah, for your understanding, yeah, I see exactly what you mean. Yeah, you could look at it like that. And with spiritual energy, um, feminine energy is spiritual energy. Spiritual energy is feminine energy, I should say. So whenever you're dealing with spiritual energy, you're dealing with feminine energy. But there's a divine aspect to masculine and feminine as well too. Because
And that's what and
that
that's what
that
we would
that
see.
no, but that monad. See that monad
Uh-huh.
in narcissism?
Uh-huh.
That's the masculine part to Sophia. We're gonna get
Right.
into that when we talk about the Gnostics, the monad. You familiar with that, Rob?
Yeah, the monad. Yep.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. We're gonna talk about that when we talk about the Gnostics and shit. That's probably gonna be another 2 part joint too, I'm assuming. Um it says journeying into the underworld successfully calls for surrendering, giving up control, which can be extremely difficult to do if you are a control freak
Mm.
or well organized planner, as I prefer to call myself, or even a rather logical person. That shit is all fucking true. For what often happens will test your sanity. You will perceive what you perceive as logic, your frontal lobe, the part of your brain that governs logical thinking, as well as your left part of the brain. And it turns about the left part of the brain is actually, hold on, let me get this right. The right part of the brain connects to the left side of the body. So the
Right.
right part of the brain is feminine, the left part of the brain is masculine. And the left part of the brain controls the right side of the body, the right side of the brain controls the left side of the body. The attributes of the right side of the brain is more your spiritual shit, your spiritual ability, psychic, emotions, dreaming, all that shit. The masculine side of the brain is more logical, rational, you know what I'm saying, mathematical shit like that. And the um the right side of the brain that controls the left side of the body, that's why the heart is on the left side because it's controlled by the spiritual aspect of your brain. That's the X right there. That's where you get the X at, right there. You know what I'm saying? Of the body. You see how in the Egyptian the niggas on a tomb like this, my nigga? You see
Right.
that? That's
Hmm.
another symbolic representation of that. Once I found out one symbol could mean so much, like it made a lot of shit easy for me. You know what I'm saying? And matter of fact, remind me, I want to give out 2 books just based on symbols and shit like that. Before we that ain't got nothing to do with this, but it's must have based on the feminine energy, since we talking about the feminine energy. Um, okay. A voluntary descent may be the best option. However, as we are dealing with deeper soul issues, should our soul believe should our soul believe a lesson or change need to occur, that we may find ourselves at the first gate to the underworld, where there is often no turning back. Any resistance to the surrendering and letting go and allowing the process to unfold any increases only increases the intensity. As soon as we release our grip and realize that there is only one way, we are heading downward, then the process can, but not always, be easier and may be less soul destroying as we lose our grip on emotional attachment to things, situation, and even peoples that need to be released or removed from our lives. And that's really one of the biggest things right there, too. Like it's the letting the shit go, everything go, not just the shit that's inside of us. It's some people that are toxic in our lives, and we just have a relationship with them, and we hold on to that shit because we think we have to. And if we put distance into that shit, you'll feel guilty, like you're doing something wrong. And I'm saying this shit because I went through this shit. You know what I'm saying? Like I said, a lot of this shit I'm speaking about, I went through. When I started reading the scholarship on it, it
Yeah.
just made sense. You know what I'm saying? It just made sense. Now I got something to go on because I went through that shit. There's some motherfuckers right now that I don't really fuck with like that, but that's cool. But I just can't deal with the energy, my nigga. It ain't bad or negative. I just can't. I'm past that
Right.
shit. You know what I'm
Right.
saying? I'm past it. You know what I'm saying? Sometimes they go, yo, my nigga, you don't holler at me no more. You don't do this. Nah, it's not even that, bro. I'm just, that's another part of it. That's so I get how that letting go shit. It's like, you know what I'm saying? Because even sometimes motherfuckers won't even understand that shit. But here's the next level to shit like that. You don't have to explain it to them. That's key. No fucking explanation. That's another level of this shit. See, it's a whole. Honestly, this topic can last for a while. You know what I'm saying? Because there's another level that you get to the individuation process, and we're not gonna have time to get into it today, where you come across with no emotion at all. That's like the last process. You dig what I'm saying? Because it's like you release yourself from everything.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? You dealing with who you are, your truth, the mask, the persona, all that shit is gone.
That
You know what I'm
part.
saying? All
And
that
then
shit is
even trying to
gone.
integrate back, because your people don't understand that, you know. Some people don't
Yep.
understand that, and they like specifically, I would hear the phrase, "I'm not getting no energy from you." Like you not giving me no energy. Like I ain't got shit to give to you for that shit. Like to
Yeah,
be
I
honest,
don't even know. I don't even know what the fuck that shit mean. Nigga say
I
some
don't
shit.
know
I
what
don't
to
even know what the
tell
fuck
you.
that
I don't
shit
know what to
mean.
tell you,
Word.
bro.
Get no
Like
energy
so,
from you.
yeah, like because
That
they're
sound like some
they're
vampire
accustomed
shit.
to. But they're accustomed to being able to do one thing and they know how you're going to react, right? They can bet on
Hmm.
that. That's why they're comfortable with
Right.
that. But when you've went through the process and you don't have that, you feel me? You don't even respond to it. It's like, well, where's that? Why you not doing what we
Right.
usually do? It's like, no, we're
Right.
not doing that.
Right.
You know, or then sometimes people like, yo, are you okay? Like, why you so quiet? What's wrong? Like,
Hmm.
why you don't want to do this?
Hmm.
Why you don't want to do that? Are you depressed? Are you okay? Do you need like no, like
And
sometimes
depends
you
on
get
and
to that
depends on
point,
how
you good.
and depends on how that's expressed. Some people, like what you were saying just now, could be like the silence of concern. Just yo, you all right? You good? But then
Right,
that shit can go
right,
the other way, where some people could be like, oh, you think you all that? You think you better than motherfuckers now? You know what I'm saying? That's
right,
the other side to that. You know what
right.
I'm
Like you
saying?
too good, but like nah, I don't have it for this. I don't know what to tell you.
Yep.
I ain't got
Yep.
it.
That's a fact. That's
And
part.
then
That's part of
and
the
then the
process.
fact
That's part of the process.
and then the fact that they say you think you all that, that lets you know they need work to be done on themselves. But that
Yeah,
shouldn't
but
be
they don't
clubhouse.
understand. They don't understand. They don't like Holland knows when me and Holland first got into this shit, and I was just coming on the block, and instead of going to the block, I was going right to the fucking basement. Niggas could not understand that shit, dog. Like what the fuck these niggas is doing down there? Now I'm different. My shit is changing. I'm not taking interest anymore in no shit. Yo, son, niggas was like, yo, what the fuck is up with this dude? You know what I'm saying? Niggas thought I didn't heard niggas thought I was losing my mind. I done heard all types of shit, dog. But nobody never came to me to talk to me. To say what Rashida just said just now. Like, you I do? You good? Everything fine?
Right,
See, I didn't get that. I didn't get that, Rock. Niggas just once it was in niggas' mind that something was wrong, that they just stayed away. Because it
no,
was
I bet.
and in their defense, not in their defense, but what I do understand because of the type of person I was, it was a shock to them. They didn't even
Right,
know how
that
to
part.
digest the situation.
Right,
They didn't
right.
even know how. It's like, what the fuck is going on? So in their defense, I kind of understand it a little bit because it was a shock. Like, wait a minute, how does motherfucker go from this to that? You know what I'm
Right.
saying? So I get that. Okay,
Yes,
this is
sir.
yeah, this is the last. Yep, this is the last paragraph right here.
All right. So we
Um,
on the hour mark.
Oh,
Oh yeah,
word. That's it. We on the
Well,
album
we
mark.
want 14 right now.
Oh yeah, yeah. That's a little over. Yeah, I kind of knew. I kind of knew we was gonna go a little bit over an hour. Okay, I
That's
just want to get
fine.
this last part out.
yeah.
Clinging onto things is normal. We are often instructed to or informed about the underworld process. Our Western culture tends to see realms as evil for the mentally unstable or for the deprived. And yes, they can be. Yet there is also an element of freedom as we detach and step away from perceived social, cultural, and even family expectations and restraints.
Absolutely.
That's it. Yeah, that's it. No
Absolutely.
more.
That was awesome.
Yeah. And those two
Uh,
books, real quick, is and y'all know, The Woman's Encyclopedia of Myths and Secrets by
Go
I
ahead
Barbara
love
and
G.
that.
Walker.
put up closer.
Mm,
I
oh,
love that one
must
right there.
fucking have right here. Must have.
Super.
This book gives you. This book gives you from A to motherfucking Z every goddamn myth secret. I'm talking about shit like the origins of the Caduceus,
Yep.
Easter. I'm just flipping through the pages, just going like, you know what I'm saying? Charlemagne, just going through shit. Horns, the origin of horns. What's this? The minstrel calendar. They had a whole shit here on the Menses, the blood shit. The saints. It's like it's mad shit in this bitch, yo. Eros, everything, everything in this bitch. Birth control, the origins of birth control, transition from matriarchal to patriarchal societies unusually destroyed the natural. Mm, they tell you how they destroyed the. This is a good book right here, and here's a counterpart. This is the Myth and Secrets, Barbara G. Walker, and this is Sacred Symbols and Objects by Barbara G. Walker. These two books right here. If you can get both of
Closer,
these books
closer,
right here,
put it
yeah,
closer.
both of these by Barbara G. Walker. Um, the Woman's Dictionary of Symbols and Sacred Objects, and the Woman's Encyclopedia of Myths and Secrets. Since we dealing with, talking about the feminine shit, but yeah, that's it. That's all I wanted to give out right there.
All right, that's what's up.
That's it.
Right. Anybody got anything else they want to add?
No, that's it.
All
Yeah,
right,
no,
All right, then.
the next session on this, start the part two on this one, or three on this one. This is the part
Yeah.
three on.
oh shit, damn. There's one more thing. One more thing. One more thing. Hold on. We really talk. That's okay. We get because this is about Medusa. I wanted to read some shit about Medusa because that's the energy I'm fucking with right now with this. But it's based off the same shit. It says, as the dark goddess Medusa rips away our mortal illusions, she represents the forbidding yet liberating wisdom and the untamable force of nature. As a young and beautiful woman, she is fertility and life. Whistled as the chrome goddess, she consumes by devouring all on earth plane. Through death, we must return to the source, the abyss of transformation, the timeless realm. We must yield to her and her terms of mortality. She reflects a culture in harmony with nature. It's more. I forgot about this shit. It's some shit I wanted to read about Medusa, but y'all get the gist of it. That's the point I was trying to make about how the dark goddesses is literally connected to the shadow. And if you want to do shadow work, and if you okay with using deities, I promise you dark goddesses can help. Just understand the energy,
Absolutely.
read up on them as much as you can before you do it. But if you feel comfortable with it, it will assist you. It'll give
That
it'll
goes,
give like an extra drive, an extra push to the work.
that goes,
Right.
that goes with along with Kali and Hakati, correct?
Absolutely, yeah.
Vice
They
versa?
all yeah.
Absolutely.
I was just reading. I was just reading Medusa part. Okay, real fast. Let me tell you this 5 seconds. Let
Sorry,
me tell you
Rasheed.
who's in here.
I know we
Nah,
overbid. We got one
yeah, I
more,
know. We got
1 minute.
we got Tiamat is in here. Sekhmet is in here. Lilith is in here. Medusa, of course. Morgan Le Fay, Kali, Oya, Persephone, Nephthys,
That's it.
Aristocal. Hela from Norse mythology, Baba Yoga. So yeah, that's there. They're all in this book right here. That's why this is a good book.
All right. So we're gonna hook up
All the
on that
gods of the underworld. Yep.
next session. Next session.
Perfect. All right, y'all. Another great show.
Yep.
And peace.
All right. Till
Till
next
Peace.
next
time.
time.
All right,
Yep.
y'all.
Peace.
Next time. Love and peace
All
and hair
right.
grease.
You got it.